Hey everyone, my name's Pete, and this past Sunday, I topped Goat Grand Prix Chicago with Warriors. So I want to bring you guys the deck profile, what I thought of the event, how I sided, what I played, what I didn't play, and just kind of the overall experience of the event. So first, let's start with the profile. So I did play Warrior, so I played obviously triple Blade Knight, triple Sasuke, and triple Kaiko. So the theory behind this deck was a pushing deck. You want to push through your opponent's back row and trade one for ones for your opponent's Sakyus, Mirror Forces, Widespread Ruins, books, whatever they have. You just want to keep pushing, and these monsters all let you keep pushing. Blade Knight obviously destroys flip effects and negates their effects when it's the only one. In a simplified game state, that's why it's one of the best cards. We played Sasuke at 3, and the theory was because Spy is so prevalent this format that the need for Sasuke to answer all our opponent's face up spies is necessary in order to combat the defensive wall. Because none of our monsters in the main deck, besides BLS, can get over a face up defensive position spy easily or at all. So the Sasuke was necessary. Playing it at 3, I was rewarded with it because spy was prevalent. I played a bunch of turbo matches, and so Sasuke came up a lot. And then because Chaos Turbo is the best deck, triple Kaiko in the main was necessary as well. There was a lot of times where in a simplified game state, I'd be able to just top deck the Kaiko, push in for some damage, and then banish my opponent's lights, darks. A lot of times I was banishing Serpents too at the graveyard, which is really helpful. And then next for the little ones, the one Warrior Lady, the one Don, one Cliff, one Exiled, and one Mystic Swordsman. These are all your Rota targets, right? And the deck is played where you should be drawing your 3-ofs, and all of these ones you're going to be searching off Rota with. Cliff was exceptional because the whole point is it's removing traps, right? It's the same thing. You're pushing through, you're getting under gravity bind, you're getting under level limit, and you're pushing through and trading one for one of your opponent's back row, sometimes two for one. Don was good. He wasn't great. In theory, I had cut him originally and I put him back in the list just because I wanted another searchable Dark Warrior that could do something, right? Warrior Lady is necessary, Exiled Force is necessary, and Swordsman level 2 is the only one I want to talk about a little bit more. It was insane. It's definitely correct to play this card at 2 or 3. 2 for sure in the main deck at minimum. The way Turbo is played right now, they're just setting so much. And being able to, there are many times where my opponent wanted to judgment the summon of the swordsman, or they'd waste a mirror force, or they just waste everything they could in their hand to out the swordsman because he was just that huge of a threat. So continuing on, I would probably play 2 swordsmen in the main, possibly 3, but I'd have to find some room in the deck. So, and then for the rest of the monsters, 1 tribe, 1 breaker, 1 BLS. These are all self-explanatory. These are just some of the best cards that should be in every Go deck. For spells, Trinity and Rhoda. These are obvious as well. You're always playing all these cards all the time in a warrior deck. And then for the rest of the spells, this is where I differed a little bit from most lists you see. 1 knock in the main, 1 book, 1 heavy, 1 MST, 1 snatch, and 1 pre. The reason being 1 knock is because I had the searchable swordsman, right? And knock was a lot of times the dead card against the mirror. So I didn't really want to draw it that often, right? It actually helped a lot because I saw it when I needed it, and when I didn't need it, I didn't need to see it. It paired well with the 1 book. We side into the rest of them, obviously, against the Chaos match. But because the field was so diverse, and Burn we thought was going to be prevalent, and Burn's been cutting Koala recently, and there was a lot of Warrior at the event as well. I didn't want to have a dead knock in my hand game 1. I wanted the best chances to win game 1. That's why I played these ratios that I did. And then for the traps, of course, all the good traps. 1 call, 1 ring, 1 torrential, 1 dust, 1 mirror, and 1 ruin. So the reason we're playing all of these 2 especially, because we want to emphasize our battle traps. The one widespread ruin was just acting as a second mirror force and or a 4th Sakuretsu armor. Dust in the main at 1 was nice for me. It worked out great. I didn't really need more than 1. Many times it came out, games 2 and 3. Call was really good, but also came out. Ring was exceptional, as it is one of the best cards. TT is a card I've been have mixed feelings about in this list because it's only good when you're behind, and you don't really want to be behind in the warrior deck because you're already losing anyway. Especially, it's just a bad card to top deck, but it performed well enough this weekend, so I was happy with it. And then the last traps, triple Sakuretsu armor and triple judgment. These cards are insane. Judgment is I think is one of the best trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! To this day. It's insane. Say no to anything. Sakuretsu armor at 3 came up a lot. My opponents thought they only had 1 or 2 to deal with, and being able to have my opponents waste the resources and already get sock. It was always nice to have that in the back row. Like summoning a warrior, set a sock, pass. It felt really nice to have that protection. So let's get into the side deck now. So for the turbo matchup, we played the extra knock, the extra book, and the extra swordsman. These were our turbo cards. These helped us, you know, take all their flip effects out, book their chaos monsters, book their Turs in the control matchup, and then knock was just an extra knock. We just sided into it. And then as well, for the burn matchup, if I can find him, there we go. For the burn matchup, we played the one Wombat, the one Wangu, and the triple Roll Decree. I should have played two Wangu. I just didn't have access to two Wangu, so I just had the Wombat on the side as well. I didn't play a single burn this whole weekend, so never came up. 5 wasted side deck cards. One of my favorite cards to side, Berserk Gorilla. This just comes in against the mirror. And then I did bring it in a lot against Chaos Turbo matchups just to keep putting the pressure on. And then speaking of the mirror, the one Karibo came in a lot. I actually showed its usefulness this weekend. I was playing a Warrior mirror. It was the only Warrior mirror I had. I played Turbo the rest of the weekend. And I was able to fade a BLS attack, so that was nice. Then these are kind of like the non-traditional cards. I don't know how good they were, but Jowgen was one. It was definitely this was like the 15th spot in the extra deck. The reason being, if you normal summon it and it sticks, you can kind of stop your opponent from playing any chaos monsters. It's a light monster, and then you can always wipe the board against the Reasoning Gate matchup. This card underperformed. It was not good at all. I drew it once, and it never came up, so definitely going to cut this in the future. And then the last two cards were huge. I thought they were insane. Two My Bodies. So the reason being is you want to be able to push with this deck, right? You're pushing with your monsters, you're pushing with your warriors, and you can't push through your opponent's back row sometimes. And a lot of times they 2-for-1 you with the Mirror Force, they'll be able to hit the differential, whatever the case is, they're trying to pop your stuff. So I am gladly paying 1,500 every time to push my opponent for 2,000. And I get to keep my monster on board. So instead of trading 1-for-1 like the deck's built to with my warriors, now I can trade 1-for-1 with a spell in my hand during the battle phase. Because it's a quick play, it just makes it that much more versatile. You can set it and protect against TT when your opponent tries to do it and they try to set it off themselves. Or you can use it against, like I said, the Mirror Force, the Sakura Storm, or the Widespread Ruin. You can even use it against, I believe it says, it says monster, so it doesn't say face up. Yeah. So you can use it against knock too. If your opponent sets your warriors and they try to knock it, knock destroys first, so my body would save that card. And that's it for the main and the side. This was a really tight list, trying to figure out what to play. I was definitely happy with what I came out with. So I'll go through my matchups this weekend. I played seven turbo, including one with Nephthys, and then one Warrior Mirror. So that's pretty much what I expected. I thought I'd play a little more burn, but I didn't come up against any burn. Otherwise, I think the deck was labbed a lot, trying to find the right spots for everything. Triple Sasuke was definitely argued about. Removing Dawn was definitely brought up. We removed Dawn for a little bit. Then I brought it back in last minute just because it was so good. It performed excellent in my last round of Swiss. I was playing against a turbo player, and the Dawn just kept sticking, and I just got lucky with my rips. I was able to rip their BLS from their hand, as I rip their sock and their Dust Tornado from their hand before I ripped their Thunder Dragons after they activated. So in theory, it was a bad play, but in practice, I just got lucky that round. I was definitely very happy with its performance against a lot of turbo players because I was able to keep pushing through. That's what I designed the deck to do. I got lucky in some matches because my opponent would break, they draw a double Thunder Dragon, triple Thunder Dragon, and that's just how the game is. But being able to push through and have that aggressive feature to it was really nice to have in the deck. Again, big shout out to Quality Gaming. They hosted GGP Chicago. It was an awesome event. 68 players. Being able to get another Goat Grand Prix top was really nice for me. I wanted to come back and prove that I wasn't just a one-trick pony, right? I got top 4 last Goat Grand Prix Chicago with Burn, and people are like, oh, you're just a Burn player, right? Well, I wanted to prove I can come back with a different deck, and I did, so I was happy about that. Definitely a good event, good experience overall. I definitely have a lot of shout-outs to, of course, people who helped build the deck, like my friends back at TGS in Tinley Park. Vidmar and Christian definitely helped lab, and Alan definitely helped lab the deck a lot, and that was super awesome that we could spend those late nights up to like 4 or 5 a.m. trying to figure out what cards to play in a warrior list, which should be a basic list. But and then shout out to, I believe it's SD Killas for the initial list that we had looked at. He was playing the triple Sasuke in the main, and so we wanted to take that idea and see how far we could run with it. And so it ran to a top 16 finish. So I was very happy with that. I also want to give a quick shout out to everyone that came up to me. A couple people came up to me that said they recognized me, like, "Oh, you're that burn player, you're that burn player." And that was really cool to see too. I love, just meeting everybody. And every time I go to these events, it's always a lot of fun to make new friends, and then see people again at these events. So if you guys are ever at a Goat event, I'd love to see you guys there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys all in the next one, maybe at the next Goat Grand Prix. Peace.